All right, so I'm doing a little batting average research here, and it seems to be kind of something that's lost a little bit in today's game. Everybody's
Tony
worried
Gwynn.
about.
The answer is Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, well, that's who I'm looking at right now.
Oh,
That's who
no.
I'm looking at, and this is amazing. This is amazing. 1984, 351, 86, no, 87, 370, and then 336, 394, 368, 353, 372.
Yeah.
Then he's 41 years old. He can only play 71 games, but he bats 324.
Yeah.
Will that ever come back into the game?
In the big inning, there was baseball. It is Thursday, May 7th. Welcome. I am CJ. I'm here with my buddy Evan. Michael's taking the day off. He's a little exhausted from all of his recent travels, so you'll see him again on Tuesday. But Evan, how are you doing today?
Doing good. This is 27 Down, the perfect podcast for the perfect game. Welcome. How you guys doing? How you doing, Joe?
Yeah, Joe's here too, I guess, for some reason. We have Mets fans.
I am here.
Yeah,
Okay, bye, Joe.
All right, go away.
See you guys later.
So, how are you feeling today, man? Are you feeling a little better from the last time we talked? Okay. Why did I even bother asking? Let's talk some baseball first. We are a baseball podcast after all, even though it might seem as though we've just been a sports podcast in general. Maybe one day. Some KBO action going on. Today's games have actually already happened because they are on the other side of the world. But tomorrow on ESPN, you can catch the Kia Tigers versus the Samsung Lions. And some more action over the weekend. You got the LG Twins versus the NC Dinos. And Sunday, LG Twins versus the NC Dinos. They'll be playing another one. Have you been watching any of this stuff, Evan?
Yeah, I watched the Twins and the Bears play at around 2:30 in the morning yesterday.
Nice.
And then I crashed. It was interesting. I mean, it's definitely not the same level of talent or quality in the major leagues. We don't expect it to be, but it was fun to get to see baseball. They had the cheerleaders there. They were still doing all the stuff and trying their hardest. So it was fun. And there were about maybe 20 fans, or perhaps that was the media in the stands, but there were people in the stands a little bit.
What about bat flips? You see any cool bat flips?
I did not see any bat flips. I only watched like 2 innings because it was at 2:30 in the morning.
It's pretty late. I think ESPN replays them during the day, though.
Yep.
I'm not entirely sure.
Do you remember a player, Josh Lindblom? I think he was a pitcher in the Marlins organization.
I've heard of him, yeah.
He won the MVP in the league last year on the Twins.
Isn't that great when that kind of stuff happens?
Yeah.
You get guys like William O'Pena go out to Asia play baseball, and they become MVPs out there. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that the Korean League is like somewhere in between AA and AAA in terms of talent.
Yeah.
You do see some guys come over from Korea and have sustainable success. I remember Hee-Sop Choi, power hitter from Korea. He was a good one. Who was that guy that was on the Pirates, had a couple of solid seasons? Jung-Ho Gong.
Matsui.
No, get out of here. Shut up.
God damn it,
country,
Joe.
dude. Wrong country. Jung-Ho Gong had some good seasons with the Pirates.
Yeah,
there have been some good players to come over from that league. So yeah, it's interesting to watch. It's like watching minor league baseball.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of a different type of I feel like they play more National League ball in general. It's small ball. It's very patient. It's quiet, you know. So maybe we won't see any bat flips.
I mean, I don't know.
They probably find it disrespectful there.
I was looking through ESPN because I wanted to get some kind of like information, like on some of the players that were there. They have like videos of like, here are the coolest bat flips from the KBO. I think that's just what they do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it on the last show. Like, I would love to bring some of that stuff here. Let's have some more bat flips. Pimp your damn.
I'm fine with bat flips. Like, See, like, that's a gimmick that's part of the game. I don't like introducing outside gimmicks to make the game better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the little rule changes and shit to bring in more fans and stuff. I think it's stupid. If you encourage bat flips, the younger fans would be all over that.
Yeah.
Imagine
I
if you could
stuff.
bat flip in the video game.
That would the thing is you kind of can, but like it decides when you bat flip.
No,
So
they need to turn it into like GTA. I can bat flip, take out an ump if I want to.
Okay, well, I don't know about that because I don't think Major League Baseball would want their game portrayed as violent.
And then you could run into the stands and steal hot dogs and stuff.
Yeah, of course, you would want to steal hot dogs.
Son of a bitch.
Of course, that's your selling point for a video game is how many hot dogs can you eat. That would be cool, though. What if they had, like, a baseball game where you could, like, okay, so have you ever heard of a game called, like, Farming Simulator?
Okay, no. I thought you were going with the NFL, the Blitz, the league.
Oh, Blitz is cool. But, I mean, even baseball had MLB hits. But anyway, yeah, it's a game called Farming Simulator, and it's one of the most mundane games on earth, but it's kind of cool. Like, you're literally just a farmer. Like, you have this big industrial farm, and like you can drive a tractor around and shit, and you have to plan out your crops. It's the most boring game, but it's really addicting for some reason. What if there was a version of that within MLB The Show where you could be the hot dog salesman? You just walk up and down the aisles. You press certain buttons to call out, like, hey, hot dog, or whatever the hell you'd call out. And then, like, or you could be like the peanut guy, and like there'll be anytime someone wants peanuts, like a little crosshair will come up, and you have to like throw them the peanuts.
Right, as you get promoted, you get like better items and better locations.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah, and like when you first start off, you got to work for the Marlins, but then like you get really good, and like you get promoted to like the Yankees, and like you can actually see the game going on as you walk down. I think that would be cool as hell. Like just have it be a small little mini game that you can have as part of the game.
When I was 17 I must have been 18. I tried out to be a Giants hot dog vendor for the New York Giants.
You have to try
it didn't. I didn't get it. Like I applied.
Oh, like you applied. Oh, okay. When you said try out, I thought you meant like, hey, let's see how good like a sports tryout.
Yeah, we went to Giants Stadium and we had all these events where we had to run and do hot dog shit.
Yeah. The hot dog salesman combine.
We had to juggle hot dogs. Oh, it was amazing.
I watch the hot dog salesman combine on ESPN every year. Really
I mean, right now, I would definitely watch something like that. I would watch almost anything.
What was your 40? 7.5 seconds? Uh-oh. Did we lose Evan? Oh, you're still there. Never mind. What are you staring at?
Nothing. Next topic.
All right. So, great. Some news, a little bit of news on reopening. Passon had a few things to say about MLB moving towards reopening. He said that when it does happen, you can expect to see a lot of players on the team. That teams might be able to carry as many as 30 players on the active roster, and for the extended roster, as many as 50 players. So for this season, you could potentially see 50-man rosters. Not active, but still, like that's the pool of players for your major league squad. What do you think about that? What's your opinion on that?
I just want baseball right now, and I think you have to give that opportunity because this year has been so odd that it's affected everyone in different ways. So I think the fact that a lot of these players who might have gotten the call up now wouldn't have if you kept the rosters the normal way. So this kind of expands that so they might get their opportunity.
I think that the whole mindset is they're going to want to play as many games as possible. So
that as well, yeah.
If they're going to do that, if they are going to go ahead and have double headers without decreasing the length of the game, you're going to have more players to choose from so that not everyone gets tired out.
Yeah, I agree.
So I guess that's fine. He also said, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was agreeing with your point because you realistically can't have double headers every day and expect the injuries not to go up for your regular players. It's too much.
Yeah, no one wants to watch a 7-inning game. I'm sorry, that's BS. Like, I would just not watch that.
I'd be very unhappy with that.
It kills the buzz of the game. Come on, man. Give me my goddamn 9 innings, please. He also said that teams are encouraging players to be prepared for a June kind of like, not like a spring training, but kind of like a training camp just to get them back
Yeah.
up to speed. Which, I mean, if that's the case, then all signs really are pointing to a July Open.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said in a couple of shows ago that if they were coming back, it would likely be a July 1st anyway. So I think, this plan is pretty realistic, and I think it's going to unfold. We should know by the start of next week, I think.
It gives them a chance to still get about 80 games in.
Yeah.
So maybe more if they really try to compact the season. But
I'm fine with 80 games. It's like the only number that would make me not too happy is like under 40. Like
yeah, I mean, honestly, even under 60 for me would be like, dude, you didn't even play a season. Like any championship that any team wins would just feel so cheap.
Yeah.
Because anyone can go really hot for like a 20-game stretch, put them into the playoffs, but in reality, they're not playoff caliber. And some teams could go really cold who are playoff caliber that don't end up making it. So
that's very true. The length of the season really plays into a few factors, especially longevity for these players. You really see who's prepared for the playoffs and who's not. You do 60 games, it's going to alter which players you see.
And the main reason is that realistically, this isn't like the NFL where the worst teams are only going to win 1 or 2 games. In Major League Baseball, the worst team still wins more than a third of their games.
Yeah.
So
it's very unrealistic you see a team only win 60 games. They're usually in that 70 to 80 range.
Right. And like even the worst teams don't lose more than like 110.
Yeah, what were the Tigers like 59-62 something a couple of years last year, something like that? The Orioles?
I think the Tigers was it the Tigers? Yeah, I think they lost like 110 games.
Oh my God.
It was one of those 3 teams. It was either the Tigers, Orioles, or Royals.
I'm pretty sure we had a couple hundred lost teams.
And now that I think about it, it might have been either the Orioles or the Royals. Yeah, or like how about back in 2003 when the Tigers lost 119 games?
Is that the record?
No, the record is – hey, Joe, what's the record? Joe, I'm forgetting at the moment. What's the record?
Say the question again?
Most losses by a team in the modern era?
Oh, that's probably the 1987 Yankees.
Okay, so correct. Good. The 1962 Mets or 61 Mets, whatever year that was. Who cares? They lost 120 games. That's actually the record.
Boo.
Yeah, well.
See, Joe knew it was the Mets. That's why he switched to the Yankees.
Well, at least he made the right choice and started booing.
No, it was one of the Danny Tartable Yankees teams, I think. Led by Danny Tartable.
I don't know.
You leave Danny alone.
Led by Edgardo Espinoza.
Yeah. You weren't alive for those early 60s Mets, so you get a pass, I guess.
I mean, was Joe alive for any of the Mets World Series? I don't think so.
I was 3 for the first one.
Doesn't count. You don't remember.
All right. Bye, guys.
Joe just left.
So what was I going to say? So blah, blah, blah. What was I going with that? Yeah. So what I'm basically getting at is that Major League Baseball is very susceptible to small sample size noise. So you need to have like a flushed out season. Dude, if they're going to have a 60-game season, you're going to see someone who's still hitting like 390 by the end of those games. You always see the players that start off hot, they taper off back to like still probably really good, but not nearly the same clip. You're going to see some weird records get made if you start.
100%. You know how hard it is to hit 400 for the full season? That never happens. That might happen with multiple players this year if it's a 60-game season.
Yeah. So 80. I mean, it's not ideal. I feel like 160 something. You need 150 plus to really have like a true idea of how everyone did. But
yeah, I agree.
I could live with 80.
I could live with 80. Like I said, if it goes much lower than that and it hits the 40 range, I'm not going to be very happy.
Yeah.
I would cancel the season if you can't do 60 or more.
Yeah, and you have to because what is that? the team that wins the World Series on like a 50 game season, what do you really win?
Yeah, not much. And watch it be the Houston Astros. It's going to just put me in the worst mood ever.
The Houston Munch My Astros.
Ugh.
We can move on. UFC 249 is happening. They can't. Khabib sadly can't make it because of travel restrictions due to the virus. So they're going to have a matchup for the interim weight championship. It's going to be Ferguson versus Gaethje. Should be a pretty good match. I'm not super into UFC, but I like it. It can be cool. I prefer like the real stuff, like WWF.
Yeah.
But it should be a pretty solid match. I don't know if you're really into UFC, but hey, figured I'd throw it out there for options for people.
I'm not at all, actually. I'm not really into fighting. If I get invited to a friend's house and they're watching boxing, UFC, or whatever, I'll watch it and I'll get into it. I'll drink beers and have a good time.
Oh yeah.
But like, I'm not putting it on if there's other sports on.
Right.
And there usually are.
Plus, if you yourself have to pay for it, that's silly. But yeah, there's one of the more fun things to do is to like go out to a bar or something and
Yeah.
have some drinks, have some wings, watch the fight. It's pretty cool. So that's this Saturday. That's UFC 249. Just another option for you cool cats out there to check out this weekend. And one last thing that I have is, last episode we talked about where could we possibly see Andy Dalton go. I think it's a little bit of a surprise that he's on the Cowboys now.
Yeah, I think he signed with them a couple days ago, actually. It's interesting. I think it's refreshing that he understands he's a backup now and he's going to take the next steps. He's a pretty good backup. I've never loved him as a starter. He can be a starter, but as a backup, I think that's a good fit with him in Dallas.
It gets to be a little weird, right? Because they still haven't paid Dak.
Yeah.
So that's kind of something that's looming. I mean, you're gonna have to start to ask the question of like, so what if Dak really struggles, and what if Dalton comes in? Dalton has a couple of really good receivers now in Cooper and in the wide receiver
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. There's some good wideout talent on there. We were talking about it in the last time we talked about this. That's one of the things Dalton needs. He needs vertical threats in order to be really good. They have also a solid offensive line still. What if Dak struggles? What if Dalton comes out looking like it's 2013 again? And now the question becomes, who do the Cowboys go with going forward?
Well, and Jerry Jones, he's a reactionary owner. He definitely plays into who's hot, who's not.
Yeah.
And if Andy does that, I could see him make the switch drastically like that in a heartbeat. Especially like you said, they have those deep targets. CeeDee Lamb is a fast, good guy. He's going to catch those balls.
Yeah, and I've always said that Dak super overrated. I think he's at most a middle of the road quarterback who will like limit mistakes. But the Cowboys kind of had to pay him. They have to pony up the money because who the hell else are they going to have? Well, now the question is kind of answered. Who the hell else do they have? Well, if Andy Dalton does well with the new system on the Cowboys, they could potentially just go with him for a little bit until they find their next quarterback of the future.
Right. I'm also not convinced that Dak is even top 10 or is going to be.
I mean, I would throw him in about 15 to 10, somewhere in there, but definitely closer to 15. I mean, he's going to limit mistakes. He doesn't cough up the ball that much, but he's also not amazing. And yeah, it just becomes a question. This guy, now that you have this other option that could bridge you to maybe another guy in the future, like if Dak is asking for a record contract, it kind of becomes weird on how you justify that.
I don't think you can. I don't think he deserves a huge contract unless you see him stay healthy for the full year and get them into the playoffs. He needs to get a playoff win.
That's also true. I also don't think they've paid Cooper either. I think this is Cooper's final year on the team.
Might be.
I could be wrong about that. I mean, oh no, never mind. They did extend Cooper. Forget it. Never mind. 5 more years with the Cowboys. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? My uh, my balls itch. Do you have what else can we talk about? We have anything else? It's kind of a short episode.
Not bad.
No,
Joe, any questions?
yeah, Joe, what do you got for us? Feed us.
All right, I do have something.
All right.
Let me get my mug on here. Here I am. All right, so I'm doing a little batting average research here, and it seems to be kind of something that's lost a little bit in today's game. Everybody's
Tony
worried
Gwynn.
about.
The answer is Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, well, that's who I'm looking at right now. That's who I'm looking at, and this is amazing. 1984, 351, 86, 87, 370. And then 336, 394, 368, 353, 372.
Yeah.
Then he's 41 years old. He can only play 71 games, but he bats 324.
Yeah.
Will that ever come back into the game?
I think one day. I think, sports are always changing. Sports are always evolving. So it's funny. Basketball and baseball are currently going through the same thing right now in that statistically minded people have taken control and kind of said, look, this is what we need to do to maximize our ability to score. In baseball, it's become walk and hit home runs. This is your biggest probability of winning. And in basketball, it's become, stop taking those little mid-range jumpers and do either one of two things. Take the ball to the hole or shoot it from 3 points. So we're seeing the same kind of statistical revolution happening in both sports. I don't think that they're going to necessarily last because right now defenses are set up for that kind of stuff and pitchers are pitching to that kind of stuff. I think eventually you're going to see it get to the point where defenses and pitchers are really starting to take control. And then there's going to be, again, some other evolution caused by the offense. It's always the offense that evolves in a response to what the defense has perfected. So I think it could. I think you could see more contact hitters coming into the league in a few years.
I mean, we tend to see it change every decade anyway, Yeah, baseball really fluctuates a lot.
I mean, the 80s and 90s were good years for batting average. I mean, You had like Wade Boggs, you had all these guys that could just bat 350 without even thinking about it. It's pretty amazing.
Right, but then you saw the shift in the mid-90s when it went from batting average to home runs, and it kind of never went back.
Right. Yeah, like the McGuire and Sosa and Bonds days and all those days. What is kind of amazing is that I think 94 was the strike year, right?
Yeah.
All right. So he only played 110 games, batted 394. So, 50 games is still a lot to go to think about batting 400, but he came in 7th for MVP that year. I mean, for me, there's no doubt in my mind that if somebody batted 394 right now, they'd probably win the MVP. And I just think that the award was skewed back then because you didn't have the fan involvement in media the way that you have right now.
That's why they gave it to Altuve, because he had the better batting average over Judge. I mean, look at all the stats. Judge was better in pretty much every category except for, I believe, 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's true. But it's funny because back then it was the opposite, where you had a guy like Jeff Bagwell who was just socking dingers all over the place.
That's who won that year, actually. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at is the guy put on. Fans have always been amazed by home runs. They see them happening.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was kind of like the counter thing where people were hitting 350. And yeah, this guy hit 394, but wow, look at that. That guy's launching 500-foot home runs.
It amazes me. Somebody hits 375, I think, right now. It doesn't matter how many home runs the other guy hit. I think that guy who bats 375 or higher win MVP in a second.
True, and that still goes to what I'm saying, where now it's like, yeah, any guy can come up and hit 25, 30 home runs. But show me a guy that can bat 370, and wow, what a unique player now.
I would love to see that number again, man. That's it's something. It feels like they go like 2 for 4 every night, and something like that happens.
Ted Williams was like the perfect baseball player for me. That's the type of player I want to see again.
Yep.
Just a really good contact hitter who had pop. That's all you really need.
The type of player I'd like to see again is
Oh God,
Ramiro Pena.
I'm lost.
Yeah, me too. I don't know.
I'm not amused.
I know you're not. That's the best part.
I gotta.
This is my not amused face.
Yeah, I've seen that every day. Every time I've seen you, I have seen your not amused face at least once. So I know that's your not amused face. Especially when we go to South Norwalk.
That's a terrible place. I'm not going back there.
Little insider. Come on, South Norwalk wasn't that bad. It's just, we're surrounded by Connecticut, so it kind of blows.
And you put me in a bad mood, and I took it out on the poor little bar that we were at. There were like 10 people in there. It was terrible.
Folks, one of my favorite things is setting Evan off. And if I can make it happen in public,
yeah, he doesn't care. He makes it happen anywhere. We could be anywhere. He's going to probably take me to space just so he can piss me off in space.
I hear opera music in my head when I'm able to set him off in public. Well, space isn't public. But yeah, that would be cool if I could piss you off in space.
Dude, no one gets under my skin like you. You're like a professional pisser offer.
I think we're done. I don't think we have anything else to talk about.
I think we're done. This is 27 Down, the perfect podcast for the perfect game. See you guys on Tuesday.